We are grateful for opportunity to discuss a very important topic, enjoying our work. Why is it worthwhile listening to it? Why is it an important topic? Let me give you 3 reasons why it's important. Number one, you use about 70% of the time you are awake. You are actually trying to earn daily bread. You may be awake at 6 o'clock, and you are back. You're out of your house by 7, and you'll be back in your house around the same time. And at home, within 2 hours, you may be giving your family 2 or 3 hours, but finally you go back to sleep. And when you are asleep, it's an important thing to sleep, but we are talking about the time you are awake. Most of it is actually at work. What's even more important is to understand that when you treat even studies as work, it means at the age of 4, you entered this issue of working, and until maybe you are 60 something, I'm well over 65 myself, you will still be working. So the first reason why you need to learn the secret of enjoying your work is because you are putting so much time in it that if you don't enjoy it, then you actually need my sympathy. That's the first thing that I want you to understand. We must learn how to be happy. Even if you have a fantastic family, you enjoy your time with your spouse. If you actually can't enjoy being at work, you will still have a problem. Number two, people who don't enjoy work end up depressed. Sometimes they call it burnout for those who work hard. And therefore, when you don't enjoy your work, you may end up in the extreme or becoming sick. I hear the doctors calling them psychosomatic diseases. These are diseases that are not caused by a virus. They are not caused by a germ. They are caused by your thinking, your attitude. And I think it will be important then to understand that if you don't enjoy your work, you're opening yourself to these psychosomatic diseases. I'm told by the doctors that you can actually end up with stomach ulcers, and those stomach ulcers have not come from any germ. They have simply come from just your thinking, your fears, your lack of contentment, and it will be giving you all those troubles. So you can see clearly, if you don't enjoy your work, you could end up actually sick. But thirdly and importantly, when you don't enjoy your work, your productivity goes down. So you are unable to reach your very top, your full potential, because you are not enjoying your work. People who enjoy their work give their all, and the time they're at work, they become productive. And of course, it's a vicious circle. If you don't enjoy your work, your productivity goes down. Because your productivity doesn't go up, you end up not getting promotion. Because you don't have promotion, you end up depressed. You can see clearly, this is a topic that should be discussed not once, but actually regularly. But what about what do we see in Kenya? Many people who work in our society, believe that work is an unwanted disturbance. If there was another way of making money, they would rather make money through those other ways. And of course, if that your attitude is like whoever, and there's a general belief among young people that if you ever see somebody rich, he must be a liar. I think the other day the Aga Khan University did a study among young people, and they said even themselves they are not looking forward to working. They are looking forward to cheating. If they have an opportunity, they will be corrupt so that they can become rich. If that is your attitude, then you feel every day you are at work, you feel you are being cheated. There must be an easier way of making money than struggling at tertiary or wherever else you may be working. That will certainly give you a lack of satisfaction. Not because there's anything wrong at work, but because your attitude that you not be doing this. Other people are making money without working. So they believe making deals is a clever way rather than working. So there's a whole culture of not believing there's an alternative to working, and would rather follow that alternative of cheating and corruption. And of course, you know that many countries in Africa are rated by Transparency International at the very, very top of a corruption ladder. You know, relying on others sounds clever to many people. So they want to find a way of, even instead of stealing, doing harambes, they do harambe for university. Sometimes these are people trying to get money from the public, even if their son was in Turi, very expensive school. But now, since they have been helping others, they also want to make money. This dependency syndrome can make you feel very dissatisfied with the making of money. And I think that can be quite a problem. In the next card, we are trying to answer the question, why do we work? Because my introduction is saying, if you have a wrong reason for working, you will not enjoy your work. Why do we work? And I want to go through several ideas that can help us to see why we work. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Why do we work? Those who are Muslims, those who are Christians, will refer to God as the creator. And here he is saying, it is not man who decided to work. He was created to work. As soon as he was created, according to the Bible, he was placed in a garden to do what? To work it and take care of it. So we were created to work. That tells you, if I was to pay you some money, I ask you, how much are you likely to earn before you retire? Tell me, total, about 3 million. And I tell you, instead of working, I'm paying you 3 million. On condition, I'll locate you in a hotel in Mauritius, a beautiful island. And if I ever hear that you have worked, I will remove the money from you. But now I'm putting the money there. I'll pay for your expenses in the hotel, but you must be totally idle. You are not allowed to do anything creative. After all, you are working to make money. Now I want to pay you not to work. My friend, if you accept it, please know you'll die early. The way God has created you, not to work will bring you into depression. Not to work will bring you into dissatisfaction. I know you ask a question, but work is so hard. Look at Genesis chapter 3, beginning at verse 17. To Adam, he said, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. The verse 18, he says, it will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you are taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. And the implication here is not, we have seen Genesis chapter 3 comes after Genesis chapter 2. It means work was given in chapter 2, but work was made hard in chapter 3. That means even if there was not sin and chapter 3 was not there, man was created to work, but work was much easier. Of course, you can see several things that make things hard. For example, one of the things that makes work very hard is who you work with. Now, because we are fallen creatures, we make it difficult for each other. In the Garden of Eden, nobody was fallen. They were good to each other. Adam and Eve were good to each other. So therefore, there was enjoyment even as they worked. So we answer the question then. Why work? Now, from what I've discussed so far, you can see man was created with a creative nature. In fact, the Bible says, let us make man in our own image. And you have just seen that God is a creator. So if you are created in God's image, there is something in you that makes you want to work. Hence, you feel fulfilled only when you work. You know, you want to see things change. Like Esri gives you opportunity to see things change. Your employer gives you opportunity to create things. And because you are involved in seeing changes happen, it gives you opportunity for being creative. And in the process, when you see what you have produced, either as a service or a product, it gives you, like you are dealing with a client and he is mesmerized with the troubles. You go there, you sort it out, you look at his face, rejoicing. That night you sleep like a baby because there's something in us that makes us enjoy making a difference for ourselves and for others, and especially participating in making the difference. You know what we are actually saying, he works to get fulfillment, not just to earn money. Every man works. And that's why I told you that if I paid you to go and do no work, my friend, I'm killing you. It's very important to understand that the reason why I'm still dealing with the subject, the reason why we don't enjoy our work is because we have wrong attitude. If you started having the attitude you are created with, you will start enjoying working and you'll start enjoying what you are doing. So that's the first thing. Attitude to work will help you to start enjoying work. You feel every time your employer employs you, say, wow, he has given me an opportunity to enjoy what I do. The next thing, if you really want to enjoy work, you must align your life's mission with the mission of your employer. You must align your mission with the mission of the employer. You know, if you want to enjoy your work and rejoice in it, it all depends on what are you trying to achieve. I've just mentioned that activity itself and seeing results out of activity will give you joy. But more important is that we are created with a purpose. All of us are created in a purpose. I've written a book which you can get in Amazon or in one of the local bookshops. And I have written a book called Discovering Your Life's Purpose. Discovering Your Life's Purpose. I can tell you a lot of people do not enjoy their work because they don't even know why they are alive. They don't even know why they have to work. I am saying, if you discovered your mission and discovered that is what you are doing, it will excite you to do it. In my book, I argue that at a very early age, you need to start designing your 80th birthday and see the kind of speeches you expect people to be giving, talking about your achievements. What difference will you have made in life to various sectors of society by the time you are 80 years? If you can get that picture, a vision of your achievement at 80, it will mean that you are 25, every year, you will be trying to contribute to that vision. Vision is a noun. Vision is like an architectural drawing. Even before you have built the house, you ask the architect to draw a house where you have 2 boys and 2 girls and a wife and a servant's quarter. You draw it. These days they do it even in 3 dimensions, so you can see the children running in between. The moment you can see the completed picture, saving becomes very easy. Looking for a mortgage becomes easy. It motivates you. So you need to, first of all, understand what your life's mission is, so that from then onwards, it excites you to see yourself reaching that mission, achieving that mission, so that your work becomes a means to achieving your vision and mission. Vision, I said, is the completed building, what you have achieved. Mission is what will you do in order to achieve it. Now, once you are clear about your vision, then you need to ensure that you align whatever work you do with that vision. So the question you ask yourself is this: does my company's mission align with mine? Put it differently, is what I'm doing in order to bring profit to my employer also at the same time assisting me in order to reach my mission? If the answer is yes, you'll be waking up very early every morning, running to work, because you are not just meeting the employer's profit, you're also meeting your personal vision and mission. The same thing with your department. Ask yourself, my department am I in the right department? Is what I'm doing in the current department really assisting me to live my life's calling, my life's mission? In the answer is no. See whether the company can realign you to be where your gifts and your callings can best be there. If you are within your calling and gifting, you'll enjoy every day. And by the way, it doesn't mean the work will be easy. It doesn't mean the work is not challenging. But the bigger the challenge, the more the excitement. Because when you go over the challenge, or through the challenge, you get very excited. You are able to make it. So work becomes something exciting. If all of them are aligned, what you do every day will bring you joy. And so if we really want to enjoy work, it will be very important that is something you deal with. I'm not asking you to resign today. But if you know what you are doing is not fulfilling your calling, I will ask you to slowly, with God's help, move towards where you know doing this is calling. For example, there are people from the time they were teenagers, they just enjoy making a difference among children. Their calling is to help children to grow and help children to have a better time. So if you work where you never touch children, you'll be frustrated. You'll be saying work is difficult. You'll say my employer is hopeless. But the problem is not your employer. You are not within your calling. When you do things that touch your nerve, that make you excited, that you feel I'm doing what I was created to do, you are certainly going to be somebody who is going to be excited every day. We are still answering the question, what will help you to enjoy your work? And here I am saying, ensuring what you are doing is aligned to your life's purpose or your life's calling. And I would encourage you to pick my book. You can also Google up in my website. There will be that information on discovering your life's mission. And I think that will be important. Next, if you really want to enjoy your work, you need to check your motivation. Is it internal or is it external? I want to suggest to you that you cannot enjoy work, or you can, but it is not very wise to enjoy work because your boss keeps congratulating you, or because, I get a high salary, or because, I got a promotion. All of those are dependent on things you cannot control. If your motivation is external, chances are it will run out because external resources are not within your control. Why is the external motivation not something that can help you to enjoy your work long term? Number one, the outsider who is motivating you to continue encouraging you means he must be happy with you. As soon as he thinks he does not like what you are doing, he will be the same one that will discourage you. So if you are relying on somebody saying, wow, well done, what a wonderful girl, you are fantastic, I don't mind you doing it, and I would encourage the supervisors to continue doing it, but do your work, enjoy your work, whether they tell you you are good or bad. But that means, even if they don't tell you, you know from within you that what you are doing is something that's going to add value, that's something that's exciting. But if you rely on an outsider, all he'll do is he'll ask you for tea, then you say, sorry, that day I'm meeting my grandmother. This guy is ignoring me. That's the end. You'll never hear a compliment again. So the first reason why you cannot enjoy your working life if you are totally dependent on outside motivation is because people are not predictable. They change. If you run outside motivation, be ready to soon lose it. And you end up in a roller coaster. Up, down, up, down. And by the way, it doesn't matter who motivates you. Even if it's your parents. All they needed to hear a story from a sibling saying how bad you are. And within no time, they're unhappy with you. But it is possible to have internal motivation. That means you're not relying on what outsiders say. And that's what my first reasoning was. And I think it's important to understand that. Another thing that makes external motivation not that useful is that the people motivating you are your competitors also. You know, so you say, hey, Nganga does well. And you are talking about somebody in your department. They say, yeah, your department will not do well if it were not for Nganga. Within no time, you say, so people are starting to think I'm a failure. Within no time, next time you talk about Nganga, you will not be saying something positive because you think he is taking away the show from you. People are competitors in one way or the other. Or maybe your uncle encourages you until he says, hey, how come my children don't do well as my niece? And all of a sudden, he is unhappy with the niece because his children don't do well. So I am saying external motivation, not only are the people not predictable, but they are also competitors. And it will bring a lot of problems when they discover you are competing. When I keep recognizing you are doing better, might it mean I'm not doing very well or my children are not doing very well? Like you may be my subordinate, and if I talking about how great you are doing, people start wondering whether the boss ever needs any respect. He is not the one who is performing. They feel the department had better run out of this guy. This guy, the junior, should be the one promoted. There will be a fight within no time. The third reason why you should not rely on external motivation, comes from mortal man. How many people, since you joined your current employer, how many people have left? How many bosses have actually left? And I know I know something about it. You need to understand, if you are totally dependent on the compliments of a man, one of these days he will resign. One of these days he will die. One of these days you will change. So what I'm trying to get you to see is that if you want to enjoy your work, find a reason to enjoy your work, irrespective of what the outsiders are saying. You need to wake up every morning with an internal reason to work, where motivation is from within. That's why I told you, find out your calling. Find out whether what you are doing is fulfilling your calling. That will motivate you from within, irrespective of what anybody ever tells you, and that will be important. Another reason why what you should do in order, and I hope you have understood that if you have internal motivation, you are likely to enjoy your work rather than if you have external motivation. Another one is, if you work for God, you start saying, the reason I'm doing this is to please God. You will start to enjoy your work. Why? God does not require anybody to backbite. You know, you're working very hard to please your boss. Then somebody tells them a story about you. Do you know Nganga was saying that you are a very foolish boss? They wonder even how you are promoted. From then onwards, he changes. But if you work in order to honor God, God sees in secret and never at any time can misunderstand you. Just look at what he says in Colossians 3:23. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. Verse 24, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it is the Lord Christ you are serving. Just notice several things out of that passage. That God wants you to work so that you fulfill your full potential. Your full potential means do it with all your heart. It means once you know this is what God wants me to do, and you know God will reward you, you know God will appreciate you, then you'll do it with all your heart. Decide if something is worth doing first. Once you agree it's worth doing, before starting it, then your heart will be in it. You know, not finishing an item makes it easier not to finish even future ones. So that's why we are saying a lot of frustrations at work have to do with half-done exercises, giving up before something is finished. The excitement comes out of seeing the final product or the final service and seeing the smile on the client or the customer. That's what will give you. So the process, you need to enjoy the process and the end. How will that happen? When you keep trying this and drop, you try that and you stop, you do not put everything together. There'll be a problem. You are motivated if working for the Lord, not for men. And I've said that enough. You know, there's a Kikuyu saying that says, "Kahega tumene ide, vieta kade kahega tumena ide," which in English means, if you are sent, if a boy, you see a boy running to the shop in the village, if you see a boy running to the shop, you can always tell of course it's male chauvinism. You can always tell the boy that has been sent by the mother and the one sent by the father. If a boy is sent by the father, he runs. So then the Kikuyu saying is, why don't you do this task like a boy sent by the father? Because the moment you realize the one you are pleasing recognizes you and is God, your father, you will certainly go like a boy sent by the father. You will receive an inheritance from your father in heaven and a reward, and not from another supervisor. Now, the moment you get that internal motivation, because God is the one motivating you, there will be no dull day in your life. And so you need to ask yourself, is what I am doing really sent by God? Am I fulfilling a calling from God? Can I say, like some pastors say, I was called to the ministry? Can I say I was called to where I'm employed? So what I'm doing ministry. I am serving the Lord. That's really what will excite you. Another thing that will excite you is to stop comparing yourself with others. Because if you compare yourself with others, you will never be like them. You might beat me here, I beat you there. Lot of the dissatisfaction at work has to do with because of comparing yourself with others. You know, you need to understand that we are like different chemicals and boiling points. You know, I don't know, I haven't tested, but water, I know, boils at 100 degrees centigrade. Porridge, I assume, requires a higher temperature. For example, maybe 120, I'm just guessing. But milk does not require such heat. It can boil even if 50, 60, and it's already boiling. I assume, I see milk boiling much faster. No, let's make an assumption that milk will boil at 50, water at 100, porridge at 150. Let me tell you something. If porridge starts comparing itself with milk, then at 110, it's going to be very, very proud. But you see, it was created to boil at 150. So at 110, 120, it's a lukewarm. In the book of Revelation, Jesus says that he will spit you out if you are lukewarm. He wants you to be either cold or hot. So when you compare yourself with others, you are not fair because nobody is like you. We are all unique. So somebody may be doing better than you. That's none of your business. You are not created like him. I normally encourage people to compete with themselves. Check yourself. You are unique. Check yourself. Ensure every month you are doing better than the previous month. Ensure every year you are doing better. So even if nobody compares you, you can see my productivity last year is not as good as productivity this year. I'm on an upward going curve. And that will keep you excited. And that's very important. I learned that way back in the 1960s when you got a British headmaster who told us he would stop giving us positions in class. He said, it's useless. Don't compete with one another. And from 1968 to date, I have never been placed in a position where I'm being shown I'm better than so-and-so. He taught us when I was in high school in late 1960s, the headmaster taught us you can compete against yourself. So that means every term we'll get marks. We will be shown this is the mark end of term result. This is the continuous assessment. And then compare this term with the last term and show. There are 3 columns in our report form. And he said the most important column is the final one. Are you improving or going down? So you will be very excited. You may, if you are being compared in class, maybe you would have been number 10. But because you have been improving continuously, it motivates you continuously. although you are not the top. And anyway, we didn't know who is the top. Maybe you think you'll fail. But the truth is, in our time, when I did my Form 4, 50 years ago or so, with the results used to appear in the Nation newspaper. And we had our first division, second division, third division. When the results came, I was out of a class of 105. I was in the top 5, but I never knew. I was surprised. I want to tell you clearly that people credit themselves that you must compete with somebody not to do well. You can do well without competing with others because you'll be motivated, enjoying what you are doing, because your question is not, it will not be, am I doing better than so and so? Your question is, am I doing better continuously? Because competing with yourself is okay, because you are yourself, you are unique. I hope I'm communicating. But that idea of comparing yourself will ruin you. You will never enjoy your work. But when you start dealing with something within your control, you will be somebody who enjoys what you do. And I promise you, you are always going to live to your full potential. You know, if you start comparing yourself with others and they're mediocre, then if you are better than the mediocre people, you'll be just a mediocre, but better than the other mediocre. So in the end, performance goes down. For performance in an organization to do well, people must stop competing with themselves, must stop competing with others, compete with themselves, and everybody will realize their full potential. The whole organization will do better. More importantly, it will be better with the happier employees. And I think that's why a performance management system, where you are not competing with the people, you are competing with your tasks and targets, will be something wonderful. You are rewarded for achieving targets on your own. I think that will be very, very important. Unfortunately, my time I've spoken for more than that a minute, and I want us to have time for discussion. My prayer is that will help you to understand that you can be self-motivated without necessarily comparing with others, and you can perform better over time. The other thing that will help you to enjoy your work is learning how to manage office politics. You know, office politics can be very disheartening. You know, there are people who feel like they are anointed to be backbiting and talking things. You know, the first thing people do is, instead of working, they become bootlickers. Who are bootlickers? A bootlicker is a person who allocates himself the job of pleasing the boss. That's what we call bootlicking. You know, boss, may I clean the shoes? They are not as clean. Boss, may I bring you tea? Boss, may I? That's not in your job description. But there are people who are like that. The trouble is, sometimes after doing all that, your performance is low. The boss whose boots you have been trying to lick discovers you're not a performer. When he promotes somebody else instead of you, you will not sleep for a whole week. My friend, you need to manage company politics. Don't be among the people doing bootlicking. Let your performance speak for itself. Do your job description. Relate well with people, but do not wait for people's comments. Another one is people that are involved in company politics and backstabbing. Bootlicking, you'll be annoyed when the boss doesn't recognize you are leaking. Backstabbing is where you keep telling the boss these strange things about a friend. In other words, I think you are my colleague. I think we like each other. I think we are team members. But when next time the boss calls me, he says something and I say, wait a minute. The only person I have told that is Nganga. How could that information reach the boss? You know what happens? You are destroying your working environment. You will not enjoy work. Because the moment I discover you are backstabbing means you are hiding something at the back, and when I look another direction is when you stab me. Then you start saying, hiya, who stabbed you? Who stabbed you? And you are the one who stabbed me. Now, we are saying when you do that, initially you have friends. After some time, you lose the current friends, you lose the current friends you're having, and even the future ones will say, hey, don't, so and so, Nganga, watch out. backstabbing spoils the working environment. And when it does, you also will suffer in the process. The worst of them is people who are defensive, never accept when something goes wrong. Do you know even supervisors who want to work with someone, they don't have to begin a whole debate when they fail. They are not looking for somebody to blame. When they are wrong, they say they are wrong. When they don't know who is wrong, they say I don't know. They are not involved in blame game. Now, if you create blame game, whoever you are blaming will end up unhappy with you. And in the end, I keep telling people, the moment you have somebody to blame, it stops you from working on your weakness. The moment you have somebody to blame, it stops you from being productive. And I told you the thing that keeps you happy at the place of work is to see results. When what drives you is to see results, your results will not be there. It is true, you have been promoted. It is true, you have gotten a higher bonus, but inside yourself you can see you have not performed. It will bring you lack of joy. And that's really what we are saying, that you need to deal with it. And it's an important issue, how to manage that company politics. The next thing I want to talk about is people enjoy their work if they know how to manage stress. Because stress is something that is very serious. I was very happy when I was many years ago, must be 30 years ago, when we were taken to the Ark in the Aberdare National Park by Cher, who I was working for, to be trained about how to manage stress. And the thing I've never forgotten is when I was told by our trainer that the trouble is not the stressor. The trouble is how you respond to the stressor. That means both us, you and me, our children may fail their exams. You react to where you can't sleep at night and your work performance goes down. For me, I react, I'm unhappy. I would have wanted the person to do well, but I realize I'm not a student. I was not in the class. So what can I do to help the person to recover? That's all I'm concentrating on. Both of us had the same stressor, but the way you responded to the stress ended up bringing you into depression. The way I responded ended up making me help even my child to do better. And what I'm saying is, a lot of people you see very happy in their work. It's not that they don't have problems, but they have learned how to deal with the problems, how to bring them. For example, the idea of, because you're having trouble in your family, you bring the troubles to the office. That is not knowing how to manage your stress, and it will cause you a lot of trouble to really serious levels. So what I'm saying is, if you want to enjoy your place of work, it will be important to understand the stressors are not the problem. And I don't want to go through my list. I don't know what the stressors are at your place of work. Whatever the stressors are, how do you respond to them? Stress is the reaction to the stressor. If you know how to manage the stressor, you will be okay despite the stress. Now, let me suggest several ways of responding to stress. Number one, learn to take care of yourself. If you are not looking after yourself, you are busy working, but being careless about your health, whether physical health, spiritual health, or mental health. If you are not looking after yourself, a small stressor at work will kill you. You must eat healthy, well-balanced meals, learn to exercise on a regular basis despite the amount of work you have, get plenty of sleep, don't ever get less than 6 hours of sleep, give yourself a break if you feel stressed out. Whenever you feel stressed, walk out. Ask for a day off, ask for 1 day leave. Take care of yourself. The Bible tells us, love others as you love yourself. So who is the standard you are loving? Yourself. If you hear somebody was trying to commit suicide, be afraid of him. Because if he cannot take care of himself and want to kill himself, it will be much easier to kill you also. So you need to understand that people who enjoy their work are also people who look after themselves. They are not selfish. They still help others, but they start by being careful about themselves. A lot of things that end up bringing you down in stress are because you are not looking after yourself. Number 2, learn to talk to others. Share your problems and how you are feeling and coping with parent, friend, counselor, doctor, or pastor. Now, so you need to understand clearly that friends are not superfluous. They are needed. You will end up brought down by the stress if you can't share something. Maybe there's something happening at work. Is there somebody you can share with who can, of course, there are 3 qualifications of somebody to share with. Number 1, he must love you. You look for a person who is interested in you. Number 2, he needs to be somebody who understands the situation that you are dealing with. And that will be important. He loves you, he understands the situation. And number 3, he is confidential. He cannot repeat what you tell them. It's not everyone you share with, but you need them. You may not be able to get enough to count on both your fingers, your hands' fingers, 10. But if you could get even 5 people who qualify on those three counts, do not suffer on your own. Don't say, hey, I am a lion, I can handle. No. Share your issues with others. That means once you have a burden, have shared, is have solved. Now and it's important to understand that idea of sharing. So that means you'll be having stressors that should be making you not enjoy your work. But because you are shared with others, they have given you their own perspective, which should not be your perspective, it helps you to handle whatever the problem is. Number 3, avoid drugs and alcohol. There are people who, whenever they feel stressed, they go for the bottle. These may seem to help, but they can create additional problems and increase the stress you're already feeling with. Because most of these things, the drugs and alcohol, one for the road, you think. But one for the road is only when you are happy. If you are under stress, one will not do even anything. So you feel like taking a second one. You don't do anything. You feel like taking a third one. Within no time, you are taking 5 bottles every night. Within no time, you are addicted. You don't just take when you want. You take because you are must. Because of your alcohol problems, you now have more problems at work. And you will not enjoy your work. If you really want to enjoy your work, keep off addictive things. Totally. Don't try even a little. Because if you try a little, you are opening up yourself too much. People who don't ever take any alcohol do not take the risk of, during stress, to run to it. Because you know that's not your area. You look for something else, like the ones I've suggested of talking to a friend. Now, next, learn to take breaks. If news events are causing you stress, take a break. Switch off the TV. Maybe American elections are giving you trouble. Or maybe Kenyan politics, just ignore them. Don't listen to them until your mind is stable enough for you to be able to handle them. Recognize when you need more help. There may come a time when you need a doctor. If problems continue or you are thinking about suicide, you start becoming suicidal, please, it's not enough to talk to Nganga and your friends. You may need to go to people that are trained, like psychologists, social workers, or professional counselors, because they are trained in that area. Don't wait until we take you to hospital. Take yourself at a time you can tell, no, I'm not managing this stress. That will be something that will be important. The next thing you must learn is please accept that competition is meaningless. And I think I talked about that, so I will not spend a lot of time in it. And learn to manage pressure to deliver. Instead, stick to fulfilling your God-given mission. So, a lot of pressures at work, deadlines, and things that are giving you trouble. It's something that you need to deal with. Managing pressure. What do I suggest? Build resilience. Don't break at a very small weight. Before the pressure comes to become great, learn how to manage small pressures. It is rare that someone is born naturally resilient. It takes time, and it will take you time to also to build your character up, to be able to handle any stress, however big. But you have to start learning how to. People who give up very easily, who don't try, they will end up being brought down by any stress. So learn how to handle small stresses, and in the process, you'll be able to handle when it becomes much more difficult. So build resilience. That's important. Learn to be ready for them. Number 2, learn to prioritize. That's, of course, would be as I've been management. Why are people not enjoying their work? Because they allow one task to take forever. They don't know how to prioritize. And because they don't know how to prioritize, it ends giving them problems. You must learn how to prioritize what should be done first. And when you do it, celebrate early wins. Celebrate early wins. That will be important. What's an early win? God created the world in 6 days. But he never waited until the 6th day to rejoice over what he had created. At the end of the first day, he said, he looked at it and said, it's good. Second day, it is good. So learning prioritize means you place things that can give you quick wins. That will motivate you to do the rest of what is remaining. Because you don't just say, I have not finished the task, but break it into small bits. Prioritize the ones that come first. And in the process, you end up managing the pressure that is coming. Next, I've already referred to this. Take time to recharge. No one stays on the treadmill forever. Find the ways. That's why it's important. The Englishman who created the work culture in Kenya said, you must take a break every 2 hours. You come to the office at 8, at 10 o'clock, break and have tea. Don't take tea with working. Walk to a place and take your tea with somebody else for 5 minutes. Don't take a lot of time. But that break, the Englishman said, a change is as good as a rest. So you'll see somebody being able to do a lot of things. And it's all because he has learned how to take time to recharge. So you start work at 8, by 10 o'clock you're having a break, you work another 2.5 hours, you take a 1 hour lunch break, you work another 2 hours, 4 o'clock you take a break, you work another 2 hours, 6 o'clock you take a break and go home. It's important to create breaks. The same thing, you work in a week, have a weekend break, and don't carry work home. Don't work at home. You see, economists talk about something called diminishing returns, the point of diminishing returns. When you work without a break, you reach a level where every additional hour, you get less return. And because you are getting return, it frustrates you even more. So you can't enjoy work. Taking time to recharge will help you to be on a continuous productivity curve. By the time your productivity starts going down, you're already home. You don't want to work. Next, learn to seek support. And I've emphasized this quite a bit. Learn to seek support. You do not have to handle things by yourself. You can reach out for help. And I think that's where delegation comes in. And sometimes, of course, you may need a therapist who can help you. But I think that will be something that is important to deal with. And finally, foster healthy responses. Like Christians call it quiet time. Create a time when you are not discussing work, you are thinking about yourself, you are thinking about God, you are reading the Bible. We call it a quiet time. You go to a place you don't want any noise. You are just thinking on your own, meditating. And as long as your meditation is just that, it's not just keeping quiet. There must be, that's why we encourage people, you read the Bible, then you meditate of what the Bible has said. Don't open up your mind to demonic control. It's important when you talk about meditation. So these are healthy responses to the issues you are dealing with. And then set boundaries. You must set boundaries. For example, don't carry work to your bedroom. You set the boundaries. This is the time for work. This is the time to sleep. The boundaries, that's one way. Boundaries are also, so-and-so is discouraging. I only talk to him on weekends. You are putting boundaries. with the phones and laptops, and you feel like you must be available 24/7. How come we were still existing without mobiles? Put your mobile in a place for a while and tell people to text. Then when you wake up, you are text. There are people who even want to use their mobile when driving, as if the whole world will come down. Let people text you or see a missed call. When you reach where you are going, you now reply or your missed call. It will take you extra shillings, in the sense that now instead of him paying, you are the one paying. But it will allow you to have breaks, set boundaries, and stick with your boundaries when you set them. And then I wanted to finish by talking about scarcity mentality and abundance mentality. I don't think I have enough time to deal with that. When I talk about scarcity mentality, it's this thing that creates competitive spirit, where you feel like there's not enough. If somebody gets food, I'll miss it. No. Scarcity mentality is not the real thing. Abundance mentality is where you realize there's enough for everyone. Now, because there is enough for everyone, if somebody gets a promotion before you, you don't give up. You know that if this company is improving, they'll require more managers, so I'll be the next. So you don't end up being eaten by jealousy. In abundance mentality, and that will be important. So I would encourage you to have modern mentality. And then finally, learn work-life balance, which I've run out of time to do. I've been talking for 51 minutes. I was given an hour, so we still have about 9 minutes for discussion. So the meeting is open for discussion. Back to you, Ronald.
Yeah, thank you very much, Elder Nganga, for this powerful presentation. I'm just smiling here, learning that even for those who are tempted to text and drive, or even walking while texting, the world won't come to an end, if you don't reply to that text. So thank you for that powerful presentation. There's a lot of wisdom here. I've shared a link to the recording of Nganga's presentation on the YouTube channel, where you can see this particular presentation in more length, because you can imagine we're working with 1 hour. So kudos to Nganga for even being able to squeeze all this content in within the hour. He really took a lot of time to prepare for this, and for that Nganga I say asante, and I'm sure also the rest of the staff have appreciated. The recording will also be availed on this particular meeting. So quickly, I want to maybe invite Clifford maybe to give us a few remarks, just closing remarks, after which we'll have our group photo. Get your cameras ready. I can also turn on mine so that maybe I lead by example. And yes, after that, after our group photo, I'll invite Elder Nganga to close for us with a word of prayer. And